Check it out, this is my custom Zavok figure, scaled roughly to the size of fitting with the 4-inch Jakk Pacific Sonic line. It has 9 points of articulation, and it's the first time I've done any kind of articulation like this, which was a lot of work, but I'm glad I did it. Here it is next to Super Trip, which I recently completed. And also regular Trip, just to give you a size comparison of the 4-inch figures. And Black Doom, which is obviously much bigger than Zavok here. Uvalu purchased one and was kind enough to show me a comparison between his and the Tomy version. Obviously the Tomy version is not to scale with the 4-inch, they had their own scale. And it's pretty neat seeing the two side by side, so thanks for that, Uvalu. Stick around and I'll show you all the testing that I did for the joints, how I 3D printed the figure on my PLA printer. A lot of sanding work went into it because I usually work in resin, and how I painted the figure and sealed it up and everything. If you like this content and want to see more, hit like and subscribe. First up is the 3D modeling. I took the 3D model from the actual game, Sonic Lost World, and I made modifications to it from there. Obviously, as you've seen on my channel, there is a lot of work still that goes into just converting the figures. A lot of it had to do with putting in joint shapes and cutting things out correctly. In particular, it was really hard to get these shoulders right. Because these joint pieces needed to fit together, but also look pretty flush, it had to cut out in a certain way. Like right here, you can see that it's intersecting way too much. It's not going to work. So I had to cut both into the forearm and the shoulder in order to get these ball joints to go in correctly. You can see it ends up being kind of a complex shape to build. I did small scale tests first to make sure that the ideas would actually work. And here's the first one of the shoulder joint, and you know, believe it or not, it just worked out on the first try. This was just a small scale test where I attached a paint bottle to represent the arm. Next up was figuring out how to do an elbow joint, and this is just on one axis with the peg going through it. So I built these two cylinders one above the other and gave some tolerance between them to make sure that they wouldn't be too tight on themselves, and then cut out a peg shape in the center to be able to hold them together with friction. And check this out. Oh my god, guys, this joint worked the first time too. Guys, it just works. Oh my god. I gotta push the peg in a little bit further. That is just a working elbow joint. What the heck? Can't believe this stuff is just working. That was great. Nothing ever works the first time, and on this project I just happened to get it right for the first two tests. I was super happy about that. The process kind of continued as I cut out more shapes and added the ball joints for different parts. I wasn't confident that I would be able to do knee joints, and I'm glad I didn't because I don't think that it would have supported his weight well, especially with the size of the knee joints there. I 3D printed it on my Bamboo P1S, and I had a lot of troubles getting the right quality out of this. It had like a texture of strange patterns that looked to me like there was too much moisture in the 3D print. Pieces that printed straight up and down like this joint for the neck actually worked out pretty well, but the shoulders really did a bad job. So I bought this machine that would dry my filament. Now this is just something good to have, but I felt that between the two tests, it didn't really make much of a difference, so I just kept trying to tune my printer settings better. And here's what happens when you put something hot on something plastic. It'll ruin your working mat. What do you think? Hoppy helped out on this project a little. He's a big fan of Zavok's claws. But mine actually snapped when I built it because these parts just didn't print well. So what I ended up doing was printing a version for the ones that I'll actually sell, where I print it straight up and then you'll attach it in the shoulder to give a much better quality joint that'll stick a lot better. So after that redesign and tweaking my printer settings, I'm going to have a lot better products to sell, even though my original one still has some of the flaws of the original design. Speaking of flaws, this is PLA, and it does need a lot of sanding and filler. So what I use is a filler primer for automotive repair, and it's very sandable, so it'll get in and it'll fill all the gaps. If you buy one of these, I do recommend you paint it after sanding. In this case, I do a spray, do some sanding once it's dried, spray again, and repeat until I get a smooth surface.
Come on, puppy. Join me. Come help me sand Zavok. Come on. Come on, puppy. Help me prime Zavok. Is that a weird way to pronounce Zavok? Is it Zavok? Zavok? Help me out. Okay, bye. You're a coward.
I suggest wet sanding when you use this. I feel like it does a better job of getting smooth faster. Additionally, you don't get dust everywhere that you might breathe in, so it's nice to let it wash away. Then I started painting with my airbrush. That's a strange combination there of Citadel paints with airbrush thinner, but it works pretty well. I don't know if Citadel paints are often used in airbrushes, but it was important to thin it to make it thin enough so that it would go through the airbrush. It took a lot of coverage to do this. And then on stream, I went through and painted all the little details, like the yellow of his eyes, all the different things like the cyans that are on his body. I love that cyan and red color scheme. The black that's on the horns and the feet and the legs. You get the idea. Just filling in the colors. Now remember I mentioned that mine came out kind of bad and I didn't really make this decision until after painting, but I wanted to replace at least this shoulder joint because it had broken way too much with that new idea that I mentioned of the individual printed ball joint piece. So here you can see I'm roughly just drilling in and trying to get the fit right for that piece of ball joint, and it took a lot of drilling, a lot of dremeling, and a lot of work with those clipper tools. But after everything was said and done, it stuck in there pretty well, and that side is a lot better than the other side. So to get that to stick in there, I used some Gorilla Glue. Normally I would use super glue for this, but I just wanted something a little bit stronger to be more structurally secure since it was going to be a ball joint that would be moving. And then I went and just sprayed it with a clear matte sealer, and then it was ready to have fun with. At the same time, I was working on this Chaos 2 figure, and it was fun to pair them against each other since they were both kind of the same size. Overall, I'm happy that I made the figure. I think there's a lot of things that could be improved, but I really pushed myself in just adding these 9 points of articulation. And I think it's something I learned a lot from and should be able to do it more easily next time I want to add these kind of joints to a figure. Special thanks to everybody who watched the streams. It's me, Sonic, aka Pichu Sonic, Hoovaloo, Dr. Melon Universe, Whimsy, Anthony Brown, DJ Arts Alex Says, Malamations, Whimsy, Silva Lucario, Daisy Garcia, Malamations, Ben Ogle, Sir Chompy, Bro Tyler Adventures, YBZ, Cool Adrian 999, Mahoan 15, Super Shadow Productions, Neo Magic Star, Newbie Awesome 5055, I Will Plays, SSWTT Saurus, Neo Metal Stop Motions, Fire the Hedgehog E1, J Starfield, Pink GameCube, Dragon Boy 1414, Martin McBride, SSDG Games, and Gaming Quarter. Thanks for watching.